The Middle East, a region that has captivated the world's attention for decades, is a land of deep history, diverse cultures, and profound religious significance. Yet it is also a place where conflict and tension have become all too familiar. At the heart of this region lies Israel, a small country with an outsized role in global affairs. Its location, surrounded by nations with whom it has complex relationships, often places it at the center of regional and international debates. For generations, the Middle East has been marked by recurring cycles of violence, political upheaval, and shifting alliances. The roots of these conflicts run deep, shaped by centuries of history, religious differences, and competing national aspirations. The complex history of territorial disputes, failed peace processes, and fragile political alliances has made the dream of lasting peace seem distant. Each attempt at negotiation brings hope, but also reveals the deep divisions that persist. As of 2025, the situation remains volatile. Ongoing hostilities, including frequent clashes and devastating airstrikes, have only deepened the suffering of those living in the region. The destruction of homes and infrastructure has left many communities in crisis. Israel faces a complex web of challenges: military threats from hostile groups, political divisions within its own society, and a growing humanitarian crisis in neighboring Gaza. The government must balance security concerns with the urgent need for humanitarian aid and political stability. Recent escalations have underscored the vulnerability of both Israelis and Palestinians. Civilians on both sides live with the constant threat of violence, seeking safety wherever they can. The cycle of retaliation and fear continues to take a heavy toll on families and communities. The instability in the region reverberates far beyond its borders. International organizations, world leaders, and global media closely monitor developments, as the conflict has significant implications for peace and security worldwide. To truly understand Israel's predicament, it is essential to examine the recent events and underlying issues that have intensified the conflict. Protests, media coverage, and first-hand accounts reveal the complexity and urgency of the situation. The humanitarian crisis in Gaza has become a focal point of international concern. Aid organizations struggle to deliver relief amid ongoing violence, while the world watches and debates the best path forward. Despite countless mediation efforts, peace remains elusive. The search for a lasting solution continues, as the world hopes for an end to the suffering and a future where Israelis and Palestinians can coexist in peace. The escalation in Gaza began with a series of coordinated attacks on October 7, 2023, when Hamas militants crossed the border into Israel. This unprecedented assault resulted in significant casualties and widespread shock, both within Israel and around the world. The events of that day marked a turning point, shattering a fragile status quo and igniting a new and deadly phase in the long-standing Israeli-Palestinian conflict. In response, Israel launched a large-scale military operation targeting Hamas positions throughout the Gaza Strip. The Israeli Defense Forces mobilized quickly, deploying ground troops, tanks, and air support in an effort to neutralize the threat posed by Hamas and to restore security along the border. The fighting rapidly escalated, with intense airstrikes, artillery barrages, and street battles erupting across Gaza. Civilians on both sides found themselves caught in the crossfire, as neighborhoods were transformed into battlegrounds, and the humanitarian situation deteriorated. The initial attacks prompted a swift and forceful response from the Israeli military, which aimed to dismantle Hamas's infrastructure, disrupt its leadership, and prevent further attacks. The scale and intensity of the operation were unlike anything seen in recent years, drawing international attention and concern. Despite urgent calls from the international community for an immediate ceasefire, the violence persisted. Airstrikes and ground operations led to widespread destruction of homes, schools, and hospitals, leaving thousands of civilians displaced and in desperate need of aid. Throughout 2024 and into 2025, multiple ceasefires were brokered, only to be broken as hostilities resumed. Each attempt at peace was met with renewed fighting, underscoring the deep mistrust and unresolved grievances between the parties. The ongoing conflict has devastated Gaza, reducing entire neighborhoods to rubble and overwhelming local infrastructure. Israeli communities near the border have also suffered, with families forced to flee their homes and live under constant threat of rocket attacks. The repeated cycles of violence have highlighted the fragility of peace efforts in the region. International mediators, regional leaders, and grassroots activists have all called for renewed dialogue and a sustainable resolution to the conflict. Ultimately, a comprehensive solution that addresses the root causes of the conflict, including security, political rights, and humanitarian needs, is urgently needed to break the cycle of violence and pave the way for lasting peace in the region. The humanitarian crisis in Gaza has reached catastrophic levels. Prolonged military operations have resulted in over 52,000 deaths and more than 118,000 injuries. Infrastructure damage has exacerbated already difficult living conditions. As of July 2025, over 470,000 Palestinians face starvation, with limited access to essentials. The blockade and military activities have disrupted supply chains, leaving many without sustenance. Displacement has compounded the crisis, with many seeking refuge in overcrowded shelters. The lack of medical facilities and supplies strains healthcare services. The crisis underscores the urgent need for international intervention and support. The conflict in Gaza has significant implications for the broader Middle East. Tensions between Israel and neighboring countries have risen, with Iran being a notable actor. Iran's involvement through support for militant groups has strained its relations with Israel. The war has heightened concerns about potential further escalations. Instability in the Middle East affects global energy markets and diplomatic efforts. Fluctuations in oil prices impact economies worldwide. The geopolitical landscape remains volatile, posing a threat to global stability. Addressing underlying issues is essential for long-term stability in the Middle East. The role of the US and EU in the Middle East conflict has long been a subject of intense debate and frequent criticism. Both powers have historically positioned themselves as key players in the search for peace, yet their actions and policies are often scrutinized by the international community. Over the decades, their influence has shaped negotiations, aid, and diplomatic efforts, but not always with the intended results. The United States in particular has often taken center stage as a mediator, hosting high-profile summits and brokering agreements. However, in recent years, its effectiveness has come under question. Shifting administrations and changing foreign policy priorities have led to inconsistencies, making it difficult for the US to maintain a steady hand in the peace process. Critics argue that the US has sometimes lacked a clear and decisive stance, which has contributed to a leadership vacuum in the region. This uncertainty has left room for other actors to step in, but none have managed to fill the gap effectively. Meanwhile, the European Union has often been seen as playing a secondary role. Despite its economic power and diplomatic reach, the EU has struggled to present a unified front, or to exert significant influence on the ground. Many observers believe the EU has largely abandoned its push for a two-state solution, focusing instead on humanitarian aid and statements of concern. Analysts suggest that for the EU to make a meaningful impact, it must adopt a more assertive and coordinated policy. This could involve deeper engagement with regional actors, stronger diplomatic initiatives, and a willingness to take calculated risks in pursuit of peace. The lack of a unified and consistent response from Western powers has made it even more challenging to resolve the conflict. Disagreements between the US and EU, as well as within their own governments, have often stalled progress and sent mixed signals to the parties involved. The ongoing involvement of global institutions and world leaders highlights just how complex and interconnected the path to peace has become. It is clear that no single nation or organization can solve the conflict alone. Ultimately, a collaborative and sustained approach, one that brings together the US, EU, regional powers, and international organizations, is essential for finding a lasting path to peace in the region. Within Israel, the conflict has sparked significant internal debate and dissent. Government actions in Gaza and policies in the West Bank and Jerusalem face criticism. Settlement expansions and home demolitions add to tensions within Israeli society. Ultra-nationalist factions push for re-establishing settlements, increasing tensions with Palestinians. Public dissent has grown, with some former military reservists speaking out against the war. This dissent reflects broader unease about the prolonged conflict's implications for peace. Internal dynamics highlight the complexities of the conflict and challenges in finding consensus. Addressing these issues is crucial for fostering a more unified and peaceful future. Amidst conflict, grassroots peace initiatives offer hope for reconciliation. Organizations like the Parents Circle and Combatants for Peace advocate for non-violent solutions. These groups foster mutual understanding and dialogue despite societal resistance. They organize joint remembrance ceremonies and community outreach to promote peace. By focusing on personal stories, they seek to break down barriers and build bridges. Despite challenges, these organizations continue to push for change. Their work is crucial in creating a foundation for peace and reconciliation. Supporting these efforts is essential for achieving lasting peace in the region. The Middle East conflict holds significant implications for the world. Hostilities in Israel and Gaza affect local populations and international peace and security. Instability poses a threat to global economic stability and geopolitical balance. Achieving peace would enhance regional stability and promote economic growth. Peace would improve diplomatic relations and foster a harmonious international environment. The path to peace requires addressing root causes and promoting dialogue. The international community must facilitate negotiations and provide humanitarian aid. A comprehensive effort is essential for a lasting resolution and a better future.